The best metal songs of this year, according to Grammy Awards, are Batman by Disturbed, Ghost's cover on Iron Maiden's Phantom of the Opera, the title track from Metallica's latest studio album 72 Seasons, Slipknot's Hive Mind, and Jaded by Spiritbox. Yeah. Okay, we spoke about this like a million times about how we metalheads do not really care about the Grammy Awards or any other awards as a matter of fact, and we will of course continue listening to our favorite music no matter what. But the Grammy Awards is still part of the music industry, and believe it or not, even though we don't, our favorite bands actually do care about winning Grammys.
Yeah, me too.
So that being said, I have to point out that all of these bands are actually amazing at what they do and definitely deserve recognition, yet I have a very hard time understanding how these tracks are metal's best for this year.
Classic.
Even more, Disturbed's Batman and Slipknot's Hive Mind were both released last year. And I understand the whole calendar of eligibility thing, yet in case of Slipknot's Hive Mind, and I love that song, but it was released all the way in September of 2022, and I have no idea what is it doing here. And with all due respect to Disturbed, but Batman is by far not their strongest song. I mean, it's not even the strongest song on their latest album. And while it is a good track, I honestly cannot believe this is the one Disturbed get their first ever Best Metal Performance Grammy nomination with. At the same time, while I think that Ghost is actually doing an amazing job at bringing heavy metal to the masses and popularizing our favorite genre, and I think that pretty much all of this channel's regular viewers know how much I love Iron Maiden, but I kind of think it would be disgrace to metal if they would win Grammy this year for this cover.
What?
And here's a weird thing, I'm actually okay with giving awards and Grammy as well for covers, if those covers are made in a very unique way and open the song up from a completely different angle, adding something absolutely unique and new to the original version. Which, in my opinion, and once again this actually can be because I'm an Iron Maiden fan and I understand that, but Ghost didn't actually do on Phantom of the Opera. I mean, they did a really good and solid cover, but it didn't really bring much new to the table. Going back to Disturbed on the other hand, their old cover on The Sound of Silence back in 2015 was absolutely unique and original, so if you ask me, that one actually should have gotten some recognition from a mainstream institution like the Grammy Awards, and it would be absolutely fair if it would have gotten it back in 2017. And thus we come to Metallica and Spiritbox, and here's the thing, I was actually really excited to see a new name on the list. Yes, I believe it is absolutely amazing that the band, which was formed only in 2017, is already nominated for Grammy. And now, well, this is not really my kind of music, like most of modern metal, but their musicianship and their songwriting skills is actually pretty great. And while I still personally don't really see how Jaded is among the 5 greatest songs from this year, having a new band on the list with a new kind of sound and a huge following is definitely something that metal needs today. And then we have Metallica, the band which has won more Grammys than any other metal band. And yes, of course, after 6 wins, I think that most of us, including Metallica themselves, would like more new bands to rise and shine and take up their space. Yet, in all honesty, out of the songs on this list, the one by the mainstream Metallica definitely deserves the win more than any other. No, it is of course not the strongest one the boys have ever written, and I would much rather see Too Far Gone being recognized instead, but in conjunction with Metallica's extraordinary M72 tour, which is changing the entire metal live touring business as we speak, and Metallica's incredible dedication to what they do definitely puts them in the leading position for me personally. By the way, Metallica is nominated for Best Metal Performance with 72 Seasons and Best Rock Performance with Lux Eterna, which I think just shows that the Grammy Awards committee still doesn't know much about our music and honestly hasn't learned anything since the infamous Jethro Tull incident. But that's only 2 out of the 5 nominees, which I think is fair that are on the list. So which 3 would I have added? Well, first of all, in my opinion, the band that deserves the most recognition this year is the one I don't think that I ever spoke about on this channel before, but at the same time the one that proved to be one of the most hard-working and willing to evolve and experiment bands of today, Within Temptation. Without any doubt, I believe that their latest studio album, Bleed Out, is one of the strongest ones they've put out in their entire career, and even more, is in fact one of the strongest albums in metal of 2023 overall. And given the whole fact that this award is supposed to honor artistic achievement, technical proficiency, and overall excellence in the recording industry without regard to album sales or chart position, it actually looks like pretty much any song from Within Temptation's new album would fit this description. And talking about recognizing new and upcoming artists, it would only be fair to bring in Sleep Token in the mix, which once again are not really my cup of tea, but that doesn't even matter because no matter what, they are still the biggest metal success story of this year, and thus they definitely deserve to be recognized for that. And if we're talking about slightly more established bands, yet still staying within that mainstream mindset, the songs like The Great Deceiver or State of Slow Decay from In Flames' latest studio album would definitely make a good competition for the above tracks. Although, one thing I just realized is that all 3 of the bands that I mentioned just now are actually from Europe. And if we take a look at the history of Grammy Awards nominations, the only European bands which were able to get at least some recognition by this institution were Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath, with just 3 nominations in their entire career, and Motorhead and Judas Priest with 4 nominations each, while the rest of the European artists, including Ozzy Osbourne and Rammstein, were nominated only 2 times at the most.
Please talk more about how you hate Europe and bicycles.
Even more, if we take a look at the list of the nominees throughout the years, it is mostly the same musicians over and over again, and most times they get recognized for the songs which are some of the weakest in their entire catalog, while their masterpieces pass by unnoticed. And so, in all honesty, it feels like instead of actually looking at the individual songs, musicianship, their composition and impact on the metal community, like it is stated on their website, it looks like the Grammys simply selected the biggest bands they've heard of, took some random songs from their latest albums, and voila! And once again, all of these bands definitely do deserve recognition, yet this process just leaves less and less room for the institution's credibility each year. But anyways, what do you guys personally think? Which of the bands which were actually nominated this year do you think deserve the win the most? And which other bands which were not included in the list would you have included in it as well? Please let us know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. And most importantly, thank you so much for supporting me, this show, and Ukraine through this very, very difficult time. Just know that your support means the world to me and all Ukrainian metalheads. We'll prevail. Slava Ukraini!